In this portion of the video, I'm going to construct parallel lines. And before I do that, I want to quickly review how to draw congruent angles because this might be useful later on in the video. So let's quickly review. You might have seen this in the other videos. Let's draw an angle like so. And we'll draw a line segment which will be the base of the other angle over here. And what we need to do now is construct the terminal side here to form congruent angles. And again, if you might remember, we established the length of our arcs like this and like that. And let's do the same over here. Do this, and let's do another long arc for where the other side's going to go through. Okay, and then we use our compass again to find the distance between this point, you can see it, and the point that we got through the arc. Okay, we have that intersection, and we draw an identical intersection in our second angle. And then we simply draw a line from the new vertex through the intersection, and we have congruent angles. Okay, this is going to become very useful because our next sketch is going to be parallel lines. And how would we construct two parallel lines? Well, if you recall that when parallel lines, these don't look very parallel, but parallel lines when they're cut by a transversal have corresponding angles that are congruent. Well, if you just saw a few seconds ago actually, is that we just drew congruent angles. So if we could somehow draw two congruent angles that lie on the same line, we would have parallel lines. So let's try to do that. So let's turn the paper around, and here's what we're going to do. Let's start and draw one of the lines. Here's one line, and we want to draw a parallel line. Well, if we look over here at the parallel lines cut by a transversal, let's draw a transversal right off the bat, like so. And now what we want to do is we want to draw, here's one of our angles. If we can draw another angle where the terminal side is this side, we will have ourselves two parallel lines. So let's do that. What we're going to do is we're going to establish a length with our compass. Again, here's our length. And we're going to draw, actually the first thing we have to do really is we need to establish the bottom of the upper angle. And so let's do that first. Let's, let's just pick a point. Let's pick this point right here. Okay, this is where our parallel line is going to go through. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate everything between these two. So let's start the bottom angle. We're going to have an arc through here. And the arc is going to go through here actually. And then the top angle is going to go through here. And it's going to go somewhere through here. Okay. And now what we have to do is, again, let's copy the first part, which the bottom angle goes from this point to this point. Okay, I hope you can see that. Right? And then similarly, the top angle is going to go from the top arc to this one. And then, so what we basically do is we now draw our bottom line from our base point through there, like so. And there it is, parallel lines. And again, here's parallel lines cut by a transversal. Angles are the same. Of course, we could extend these. We'd actually have identical triangles. And we have ourselves parallel lines. Okay, now let's take a line segment, such as this one, and figure out how to cut it into equal segments. Of course, in previous videos, we know how to bisect this, so obviously we can cut this into two equal congruent segments. And as a review, we'll quickly do that. You take the end point, one end point, draw an arc of a particular length like so, and you go to the other end point and draw an arc with the same distance from that end point. And what you have are two intersecting pairs of endpoints. And then you simply draw a straight line connecting these points, and you have yourself a perpendicular bisector. This is right angle, and these are congruent. Okay, so let's take a line segment like so, and let's cut it into 4 congruent segments. Basically, we're going to cut it into quarters. So again, what we'll do is we'll first bisect it, so we'll cut it into halves, or into 2 parts, like 1, 2, okay? And then we do the same thing on the other end point. Be real careful, like so. Okay, and then we'll take our straight edge and connect these 2 points as best we can. Okay, and so now we have 2 congruent segments, and the next part is we'll just take one of these half segments, I guess, and bisect it. So let's do this one. We'll start in the middle, and we'll draw our arc up top, arc below, go to the other end, do the same thing, and again take our straight edge and draw a perpendicular line. So these segments are congruent, and this one is the full length of that. So actually, instead of drawing a perpendicular bisector on this side, what we can really do is just use our compass again to measure length, and measure the length of this quarter. And it's about here, as you can see. It's that length, and if I drew this, same. Okay, so basically we'll just go around and do that to the other side. Go around. We have our arc, and a quick check, and there you have it. Now, of course, since we're not trying to draw a perpendicular line, I just make a note and draw any line through this port, and because basically this segment is congruent to this segment, it's congruent to that segment, it's congruent to that segment. Okay, now obviously cutting it into quarters, or even we can cut it into eighths, all we have to do is know how to bisect a segment. But what do we do if we have to cut it into 3 pieces?